Welcome to Der Hair for Kids. Join us as we explore the fascinating lives of our Rabbeim. In the previous episode, we discussed how Rabbi Yisrael was not ready to reveal himself as a leader of Bnei Yisrael. He then met a shepherd who led him to a stone, under which was a pile of papers, which Reb Adam Baal Shem's own son, Reb Leib, had placed there. In it, Rabbi Yisrael found many secrets of the Torah, as well as two stories. Here is the first story which Rabbi Yisrael read in those papers. The letter read as follows. Rabbi Yisrael, this is Adam Baal Shem. I am writing to you this story, which will help you understand your special mission in this world. About 200 years ago, in the city of Tzfas, there lived a Yid who was so unlearned he barely understood the words of davening. Yet he did the mitzvahs very carefully, and he made sure that no one knew about all the mitzvahs he was doing. One night, it was very late, and the Yid from Tzfas was sitting on the floor and doing tikkun chatzois, which is a special tefillah in which a person would cry about the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash and beg Hashem to bring Moshiach. Suddenly, the Yid heard a knock at the door. Very worried, he called out, "Who's there?" The voice outside said,
"It's Eliyahu Hanavi."
When the Yid heard those words, he got so scared that his hands started to shake in fright, to the point that he could barely open the door for Eliyahu Hanavi. As soon as Eliyahu Hanavi came in, the Yid's house filled with a special light. Realizing that there was a special energy in the house, the children woke up and began to dance in their beds.
"My River Rabbi, please sit,"
said the Yid as he offered a chair to his special guest. Eliyahu Hanavi took a seat and began to speak.
"Let me tell you why I have come here. I was sent here from Shamayim to tell you the exact day that Mashiach will come, and to teach you many of the secrets of the Torah. But first, I really want to know why Hashem chose you from all other people to hear this kind of information. Please tell me, what great mitzvah did you do on the day of your bar mitzvah that made you worthy of knowing all of these secrets?"
The Yid got very upset. He said,
"I do mitzvahs only for the sake of Hashem himself. They are not for anyone else to know about, and I don't do mitzvahs for any kind of honor or reward. I will not tell you anything about the mitzvahs that I have done. If that means I cannot learn about these great secrets, that's fine with me."
As soon as the Yid finished speaking, Eliyahu Hanavi disappeared. In Shamayim, there was great excitement. They said, "Never has anyone said no to learning with Eliyahu Hanavi, just in order to keep their mitzvahs a secret." The Beis Din Shel Maila, the Beis Din of Shamayim, decided Eliyahu Hanavi should come back down anyways and teach this Yid secrets of the Torah that only the greatest tzaddikim know. And so it was. The Yid from Tzfas learned Torah with Eliyahu Hanavi and grew into one of the greatest tzaddikim of his time. He nevertheless kept on acting like a simple person. No one knew of his greatness. When the Yid passed away, his neshama went straight to Gan Eden. The Malachim brought him to the place where our Avos Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are. The Malachim said, "Even this place is not a good enough reward for this special Yid. All his life, this Yid did mitzvahs only for Hashem's sake. No one knew of his greatness, and he never thought highly of himself for the mitzvahs that he did. Such a neshama deserves a much greater reward." But another voice in Shamayim replied, "It is true that he served Hashem with sincerity, but on the other hand, the world did not enjoy the special light that he had." The Beis Din Shel Maila then came to a decision. This special neshama will be sent back into the world. The person who will have this special neshama will be a great tzaddik, who will also want to serve Hashem in secret without anyone knowing. But this time around, He will be forced to reveal his greatness against his will. He will have to spread his Torah to the world and influence thousands of Yidden to become closer to Hashem. His teachings will continue to influence the world until the coming of Moshiach.
Rabbi Yisrael, this is the story of your neshama. You have the neshama of that Yid from Tzfas, and the Beis Din Shalmaila has decided that you will have to reveal yourself and light up the world. This has been decided even before you were born, and there is no way to change the heavenly decree. You will have to teach Yidden a new way to serve Hashem and to purify the world, preparing it for the Geula.
Rabbi Yisrael finished reading that story and began to read the second story that was written on the papers from Reb Adam Baal Shem.
Now, Rabbi Yisrael, I will write to you another story. This one happened to me. One Shabbos morning, during Kriyas HaTorah, I suddenly saw my Rebbe, Achia Shiloini, who had come from Shamayim to visit me. He told me,
"Be prepared to leave your house right after Shabbos. We will be traveling together to the city of Lvov."
And so it was. After Shabbos, as soon as I finished making Havdalah, Achia Shiloini came to my house.
"Please come outside and keep your Shabbos clothes on,"
he said. I rushed back inside, put on my coat, and quickly went outside to find a horse and wagon with a wagon driver waiting. I got into the carriage. It was just Achia Shiloini and myself inside. As soon as I got inside, Achia Shiloini told me in a strong voice,
"Sing the song Eliyahu Hanavi."
I sang by myself, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Agilodi, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Agilodi, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Tishbi. As I finished singing the song, I looked outside the wagon and I saw lights. I recognized those lights. Those were the lights of the city of Lvov. I was shocked. How could it be that in a few short minutes we already came to Lvov? It takes many days to travel from my hometown to Lvov. I had never seen such a thing before. Of course, we all know about the concept of Kfitzas HaDerech, how Hashem can cause people to travel long distances in almost no time at all. But this was the first time that I experienced such a thing myself. I was overcome with awe and fear from seeing this miracle. Achia Shiloini asked me,
"Why do you look so shocked? Don't you know who is driving this wagon? If only you knew just who the driver is, you would also sit in fear, just like I did during our journey."
If my Rebbe, Achia Shiloini, who comes from Shamayim, was sitting in fear because of the driver, I would have wondered who this driver was. But before I could even think about what my Rebbe had just said, the wagon pulled up in front of a house. I followed my Rebbe inside. Achia Shiloini started walking back and forth in the house, without saying a word, his face shining like a burning fire. He silently walked back and forth in this way for 2 hours, while I just stood there, afraid to move. Suddenly, the door of the house opened, and a tall, elderly man came in.
"Shalom Aleichem, Rebbe Eliezer,"
Achia Shiloini announced.
"How lucky are you to have a son whom there is no one like him, both in this world and in Shamayim. Please sit down, Rebbe Eliezer."
I now understood, Rabbi Yisrael, that this tall man who had just come in was none other than your own father, Rebbe Eliezer, who had passed away long before this story took place. Your father answered Achia Shiloini, "My Rebbe knows that I come from Shamayim, where there is no such thing as sitting or standing." Achia Shiloini replied,
"Nevertheless, it is important to respect and act according to the custom of the place that you are in. We see in the Torah that even the Malachim who visited Avraham Avinu were careful to sit and eat in front of him, even though, obviously, Malachim don't sit or eat either. Hearing this, your father sat down. Achia Shiloini asked your father, I was told from Shamayim that you wanted to speak with me. So, here we are. What would you like to speak with me about? Your father replied,
Rebbe, I need to speak to you about my son, Rebbe Yisrael. Almost every day he begs me to come to you and to plead with you to cancel the decree that he needs to reveal himself and openly teach Yidden Torah. He doesn't want to do it. He just wants to sit alone and learn by himself.
Achia Shiloini strongly replied, Rebbe Eliezer, that is impossible. Tell your son, Rebbe Yisrael, that I told you that he must reveal his true greatness. That is what has been decided in Shamayim. If he does not reveal himself, he has, chas v'sholem, no reason to continue living in this world. Your son is alive in this world specifically in order to spread his teachings to the outside world. Pointing to me, Achia Shiloini said, Reb Adam, who is here with me, knows everything about this matter. I will soon allow him to tell your son, Reb Yisrael, about our meeting, and your son will then admit that I am correct. I will tell Reb Adam to warn your son that he will not see my face again until he reveals himself. As soon as Achia Shiloini finished speaking, your father Reb Eliezer disappeared. I just stood there, shocked and frightened. I couldn't believe what my eyes had just seen. It's time to eat melave malka, said Achia Shiloini. Eat something, and I will send you back home. I will have to stay here, since I have some things to take care of here in Lvov. But Rebbe, I said, I'm afraid to travel by myself at night. Don't be afraid of anyone besides Hashem and his servants, the Talmidei Chachamim, who learn his Torah. Achia Shiloini replied, I ate something, as my Rebbe told me. Achia Shiloini then walked me out to the wagon and gave me Birchas Kohanim. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. I then climbed into the wagon and we left. Again, the scenery outside passed by so fast, like in a blur. Miraculously, less than 20 minutes later, the wagon stood right outside my house. 2 days later, I saw my Rebbe again. He said, I am still afraid that Rebbe Yisrael will refuse to reveal himself. But I have no way of talking to Rebbe Yisrael about it, since I have already promised him that until he reveals himself, he will not see me again. Only you, Reb Adam, can convince him to reveal himself. So I began to look for you, to give you over the important message. But as hard as I tried, I couldn't figure out where you were. Sometime later, Achia Shiloini appeared to me again. He looked very worried. He said, Reb Adam, I see that from Shamayim they are stopping you from meeting Rebbe Yisrael. They are making it very hard for you. That's why you can't find him. I am very bothered by this. Only Hashem himself knows why this is happening. But I have an idea. Write down everything you would have wanted to tell Rebbe Yisrael, and send your written letter with your son, Reb Leib. He will be able to bring your letter to Rebbe Yisrael, who will then be able to read it. So I wrote everything down, and gave it to my son, Reb Leib, who went looking for you. But as much as he tried, he couldn't find you either. We had no choice but to wait for Achio Ashiloini to come again, which he did a few days later. He told us, Rabbi Yisrael has gone to learn by himself in the mountains near the city of Kitov. Send your son to hide the papers somewhere in the mountains in that area, and Be'ezras Hashem, Rabbi Yisrael will find it. Rabbi Yisrael, I ask of Hashem to please help you find these papers, and I daven that you should listen to the words of our Rebbe, Achia Ashiloini, that you should reveal yourself and begin to spread your Torah throughout the world. Rabbi Yisrael sat in the mountains, reading the stories in the letter. When he finished, Rabbi Yisrael thought to himself, This is truly unbelievable, amazing things I have just read. But still, I can't possibly reveal myself. I just can't. Did Rabbi Yisrael reply to Reb Adam Baal Shem? Did he listen to the instruction that both Achio Ashiloini and Reb Adam Baal Shem had given him? To find out, please stay tuned for the next episode of The Hair for Kids. Thank you for listening to The Hair for Kids, where we explore the fascinating lives of our Rabbi.